Right, what's going on, people? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host Jan, your post-match presser for Chelsea 0, Arsenal 1 at Stamford Bridge in the Premier League. A well-deserved win for a team that knows, unlike Chelsea, they know what to do with the football and how to play. Now, Chelsea are without a lot of crucial players. We can go through them. Reece James, Ben Chilwell, N'Golo Kante, Wesley Fofana, Koulibaly and Kovacic not fit to start, etc. It goes on. And yes, Arsenal rocked up to Chelsea with a full-strength squad, Bukayo Saka and Zinchenko returning to the side. But it's not about injuries and it's not about availability or whatever. It's about development and stages. And get the microphones up for this one because, listen, here's your headline. Well, here's your sobering truth. Chelsea would have sacked Mikel Arteta 2 or 3 times over throughout his turbulent start, but they stuck with the process and it's paying dividends. That's the main thing. Put your microphones down and listen. We're going to talk about the game today, of course. Chelsea with some peculiar performances, some good sort of moments and some questionable starting players. I am not going to necessarily just dig out the manager because it's tough, man. Like, it's tough. We did great in the Champions League. We've topped the group. We're not going to win the Premier League. We're going to try and get to top 4, but we've already, as he was appointed, Graham Potter, the new ownership, or the articles were coming out in the headlines, the new ownership saying, look, if he doesn't get top 4, it doesn't matter. Tuchel would have got top 4. It's not about, this season isn't about that. And granted, many of you will, I guess, kind of rightly be like, well, it's always about top 4 for Chelsea, but it has to be about the bigger picture. Look, mate, everyone in the media, in punditry, down the pub, everyone who watches football and has an opinion was flat. Like, even if you're not a Chelsea fan, when we've got a hiring and firing policy, everyone in the football world was flabbergasted how Mikel Arteta wasn't sacked a few times over. With troops and people saying, I'll tear out constantly. But the club knew they could work with him and they stuck with him. And you have to maintain the same stance with Graham Potter. That Brighton team that slapped us about last week did that because of Graham Potter. He's got the dysfunctional Galacticos of Chelsea and it's going to take him some time. But I don't want to blame, yes, the players were poor. I don't want to blame the players too much because they don't know what they're doing. It's just going to need time. We're more conducive to winning European football at the moment. And the truth is, I know it sucks, but Arsenal, the second best team in England at the moment, and they beat us 1-0. This is just where we're at. This is absolutely it. So Chelsea played a 4-back system, kind of like a 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1 at times, and Arsenal played their 4-3-3. Like I said, it was a full-strength Arsenal team with, Gabriel and Saliba at the back. They had the currently on bail Thomas Partey, centering midfield. And if you want an example of why it's good to have a conventional central defensive midfielder in the Premier League, look no further than this guy as an example in his performance. Of course, he's made Xhaka a lot better next to him. And they had Odegaard in midfield. And of course, Xhaka, Jesus, and Martinelli up front. So we did play with Edouard Mendy in goal. He gave us our weekly heart attack with his moment on the ball, where, of course, is his weakness. He had a couple of good moments. We can run through player performances. We had a back four of Cucurella left back, Cesar Azpilicueta right back, and Chalobah and Silva in a centre-back partnership. And we were challenged for pace down that right-hand side. Azpilicueta was getting a lot of issues. We had Jorginho, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, and then you had Mason Mount and Kai Havertz behind Aubameyang, might say everyone else with Sterling as well. So at times it was almost a box midfield with Ruben Loftus-Cheek and Jorginho with Havertz and Mason Mount in front, and there was a bit of rotation. And to be honest, man, the Chelsea players just didn't know what to do when they had the ball. Arsenal was so well drilled comparatively in terms of their pressing, in terms of their positional awareness, in terms of the partnerships. Like, they are the second least changed side in the league. I read their stat, or there was a stat on BT Sport, we've got to be the polar opposite. Potter's understandably trying different combinations, but Mikel Arteta's done 150 games managing Arsenal. He knows what works now, and he's drilled that over and over and over and over. And this game was just an absolute display of that. They won 1-0. They had a little bit more possession than us. But they were better than us in most things, except we had more tackles because we had less of the ball. We had more aerials. One which is maybe we're a bit taller than them. But yeah, mate, they had 14 shots to our 5. And maybe we could have shithoused the draw, and it would have been fun because it would have kept them off the top of the Premier League table. But ultimately, it was no good, man. There was a lot of bookings. What did get a bit tasty, we had 5 bookings to their 2. And the goal was a Bukayo Saka assist to Gabriel from a set piece. I think it was a corner. Was it a corner or a set piece? Either way, it was a set piece, a free kick or a corner. And he got on the end of it. And, mate, the defense... So, this is why I am wary of Potter's, perhaps... it's going to take time for him to coach. But this was just poor from every defender. It's going for all their legs, losing their man. I mean, I don't think that's tactical. That's just such a poor goal to concede. But what is tactical is instilling the confidence in the players in terms of what to do on the ball. We made a bunch of changes, 4 changes in a few minutes after their goal. We brought on Breuer, which is, about time, and Gallagher for Havertz and Aubameyang, which both totally make sense. And then Mason Mount and Ruben Loftus-Cheek comes on for Pulisic and Kovacic. And when you look at those 4 subs that come on, you could have made a strong case that had we started the game with those guys, we might have played better against this Arsenal side. And look, man, again, if we had our first choice, their first choice is so settled, and we're missing. You could argue, well, Koulibaly should be Koulibaly, Chilwell, James, Fofana. As much as you like Chalobah, Fofana is a starter. Kovacic and Kante. That is 6. That is more than half of the starting 11 first choice that is out. And I don't want to use it as an excuse because injuries happen in football, man. They just absolutely do. But it is a factor against a good team. But, the 1-0 probably flatters Chelsea, doesn't it? And like I said, these particular players are on the pitch. They just didn't know what to do. In terms of performances, Mendy made a little wobbler when his foot's on the ball. That. I think all the defenders were poor for the goal. Cucurella was very lucky to not concede a penalty because it just happened outside the box. But Cucurella either does a little moment really greatly, like goes out and clears a corner routine, or does a couple of good moments. But then he also looks calamitous as heck. I'm not going to swear. Sometimes. Azpilicueta's just not got the gas, but he is what he is. Chalobah is good at times. Silva had amazing moments, but he's a 38-year-old man playing in a back 2 in the Premier League against a high-octane Arsenal team in a London derby. And he still was, serviceable, so, he's just incredible. But these are the facts, ladies and gentlemen. You want Koulibaly, you want Fofana, either side of Thiago Silva. You want Reece James and Ben Chilwell as wing-backs. You want N'Golo Kante in the midfield, maybe next to a fit starting Kovacic. Do you know what I mean? And then you want to learn a little bit more about Breuer and Pulisic and stuff, how they're going to play under Graham Potter. I tell you a player I'm disappointed with. Aubameyang, it didn't have it today. I think maybe the occasion got to him. It was either going to go either way for Aubameyang. He's either going to be really good and score the winner, or he was going to ghost. You decide. I think Havertz had a really poor first half. Really, really poor first half. He was just he was breaking down attacks himself, which is a shame because he has the potential to be so good. I think Mount progressively got worse until he eventually came off on the 78th minute. He had a better first half than Havertz, I think. Gallagher came on and looked good, but he was too riled up. Sterling has been neutrally ineffective in the Premier League for a while, though I still understand why the gaffer would be inclined to start him in terms of his, pressing and whatever knowledge. But maybe there's a bit of pressure actually to start Sterling. Pulisic looks good when he came on. Gallagher did. I think Breuer needs to be given a start again. It's great that he scored against Wolves off the bench, but give him a start. Give him a start with another forward. Whether it's Aubameyang or even Havertz. Do you know what I mean? Just give him a partnership. Don't isolate him. Let him run with someone like he did at Southampton in a 2. or even if it's, technically he's a lone striker, but he can, the way we set up, we can afford combinational play. But man, like we're digging in at home against Arsenal, and it's never a good look. And there was one moment where you've got to take your hat off to Arsenal, where they just knocked it about perfectly. We're the polar opposites at the moment, where they are a well-oiled machine. Now, I did a video yesterday, 5 reasons why Chelsea will beat Arsenal. Didn't come to pass. Optimism can be a fun thing, though, but the situation is clear. They probably deserve to win by more. They are far more developed than us, and it might get worse before it gets better. It's going to be an after the World Cup thing, I think, until we get players back with an opportunity to really develop ideas. Brighton, as the old footballing adage goes, Brighton wasn't built in a day. It took a pot of time to develop them into a really good footballing side, which, by the way, now they are because of him, and he made him a bunch of money and developed players, etc., etc. He's gonna need time at Chelsea. One thing I did like from this game, and this is probably the only thing, was he got into it a little bit with Mikel Arteta, which I like to see. Maybe the Chelsea blood getting into him a little bit. He's such a passive dude, which is great. In terms of being not combustible and being a bit more therapeutic with the players, and indeed the ownership, communicative, but showing a bit of passion on the touchline at Stamford Bridge in a London derby. Nothing wrong with that, Graham, mate. And got into it a little bit with Mikel Arteta, which I guess is fun. But look, we didn't really learn much about this. Like I said at the top of the video, one team's good with the ball and knows what to do with it, and one team doesn't yet. It is what it is. What do you think, though, guys? Be sensible, take a deep breath. And what would you like to see moving forwards? Do you agree with me, etc.? All those kind of things you can put down in the comment section below. Please do drop a like to make me feel better. You're welcome to subscribe, of course. Daily videos here on Football Therapy. And it's going to be alright, boys and girls. It's going to be alright. City will win the league. Peace.